She forgot to change that. It went by me when I approved it, so sorry. Good morning. I wanted to let you know or remind you that I sounded the chime once for those who have lived before us. I sounded it a second time for those of us living in the here and now. And I sounded it one more time for those who will inhabit the future. So welcome, and if you could sit back for a short prelude from Sean. Thank you, Sean. So welcome to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist Congregation on this, the first Sunday of April. I'm Glennis Peterson. I especially want to welcome those of you who are visiting for the first time. Please consider staying after the service for some coffee and conversation so we can all get to know each other better. Welcome also to those of you at home. I am so glad you're joining us, and each week these are all available for watching later too, so you can go back to all of them and revisit some of your favorites. I want to thank our greeter, John Asham, there. Appreciate everything. And as always, I'm ever grateful for our staff, Sean, Jake in the back, Annan, and Genevieve in the office for their talents and skills. I'd like to thank also Connie Erickson for these lovely flowers that are absolutely gorgeous, and thank you so much. I would like to draw your attention to the insert in your order of service where it lists upcoming events. These are all very important. Next week, the Soup and Bread Luncheon, Gemma Cray Art Retrospective. The Song Circle is next week. And I also want to point out, for those of you at home, about the welcoming groups. UUUC is on the way to being designated as a welcoming congregation. The assistance we still need from you is to join with other congregation members in making UU an even more welcoming place. Volunteer, if you will, please, to serve on the Welcoming Congregation Ad Hoc Group to see this process through. Sign up on the rear table and pick up a schedule of upcoming sessions to begin April 11th. So right back there on the table are the sign-up sheets. It's the 11th at 5 o'clock. I'd now like to acknowledge the people who come before us on this land where this beloved sanctuary now stands. This is the land of the Umpqua people, whose name graces both forks of the river and this valley, and whose name has been chosen as the name of this congregation. This land acknowledgement is in recognition of their gifts and the beginning of atonement for harms done and part of the path towards healing. Now, if you can please take a moment to switch off your phone if you haven't already. There's nothing like having it go off during meditation. It's happened to me. Today our speaker is Donna Smith, and if you don't know her, I will explain a lot more about her a little bit later in the service. But for now, to help those in our community who suffer from food insecurity, we join with several Roseburg churches in support of the Fish Pantry. So we'll now collect your food or money donations for fish. Thank you so much for your generosity. And now I've been remiss, even though I wrote it in red on my paper here. We have one more announcement from June Irvin. Please come on up.
Thank you. Hi, I'm June Irvin. I'm a member of the membership committee. However, all the other members of the membership committee have chosen to go out of town. So that leaves me. Because we elected to do the first soup service Sunday on our own the last time, Reverend Dennis has asked us to try to direct a new group of people to take over and do it each Sunday that he's here. So get ready to make soups and salads because that's his requirement, or at least his request. I'm going to talk to the two folks that have so far volunteered for setup today after church, and we desperately need one more person for that. It's not an easy job. It's time-consuming. They plan to meet on Friday. I'll answer any questions I can. I just am not going to be here to direct the whole thing. I'll be glad to help as much as I can remotely, and while I'm here today, I will show the folks downstairs what needs to be done and where it is. But this is not going to happen by magic, folks. You're it. He wants it, so if you don't want to do it, you talk to Reverend Dennis. It's not my idea, it's his. I rest my case.
Thank you, June. So, in lighting our chalice, please keep in mind some of the words I'm about to read to you today. For holy days on which we recall the old stories, we light the flame. For Passover, which reminds us of the courage and strength of those seeking freedom in the past, we light the flame. For Easter, which reminds us that love is our greatest chalice, we light the flame. For gathering today in this sacred space, we light the flame. For the opportunity to be together as a community, to remember the past, to plan for our future, to be alive in our present. Our opening words this morning are from Marianne Williamson. She wrote, "Think of everything you've ever experienced that was painful. That's the meaning of Good Friday. Think of all the ways that love ultimately healed your heart. That's the meaning of Easter. Please rise in body and spirit as you can and sing. Join me in singing number 1010. We give thanks. Excuse me. I like that uplifting song. Now is the time in our service when we remember our joys and concerns with silent or spoken candle lighting regarding the significant milestones in our lives. I invite those who wish to light a candle, silent or spoken, to please form a line on my right. For those with spoken candles, please give your name and try to be brief. The offering is a sacrament of the free church. We are supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join us. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. For the gifts we have received, we are truly grateful. May we be committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community. And now, sit back, relax, and enjoy our anthem this morning, played by Sean Shea, Troubled.
Even from 1,000 years, I will lean into today, and the flame inside my heart will burn them all away. Weary dance with me. There's hope. Frightened, be with me and go. If I wrote my troubles down, they would wind this earth around, offer them in prayer, and in a flash, their holy ash, incense in the air, and we'll rise and we'll rise till all the earth and skies disappear with your fear, and we'll sing and be the space containing everything. Write them all down, all your worries and your fears, even from 1,000 years. I will lean into today, and the flame inside my heart will burn them all away.
Thank you so much, Sean. It's beautiful. Well, I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Donna Smith. She's a Unity Worldwide Ministry spiritual leader whose training focused on pastoral care. She is most happy when she can help others find peace and joy in their lives. She is also a Unity chaplain, a Taizé prayer leader and trainer, a Reiki master and practitioner, a nonviolent communication teacher, a student and teacher in A Course of Miracles, and a teacher of the Way of Mastery, and she is active in our Cares and Concerns ministry. Welcome, please, Donna Smith.
It's amazing what 3 inches can add to you, huh? Just enough. Good morning, everyone. It's really good to see you all. Wonderful. Well, today we're going to talk about the deeper meaning of Easter, which is coming up next week. Now, I think we all probably know the Easter story, you know, that Jesus was crucified on the cross and for our sins, and then in 3 days he was resurrected. Now, this is actually a controversial story, as some don't believe Jesus actually existed, or that he existed but did not die on the cross, and some believe that he certainly wasn't the Messiah. Some believe he died for our sins, while yet others believe that we're not sinners, so why would anybody die for our sins? So there are differing beliefs about Jesus and the Easter story. And guess what? They're all okay. Every one of them is okay because they are perceptions of the individuals, and whatever your perceptions are yours, and they are okay. Personally, I communicate with him every day in my spiritual practice, and he freely provides me with a lot of guidance and a lot of love, and I appreciate his time with me, and I feel his love whenever I need it. So that's my relationship with this person we call Jesus. I also call him, and I usually call him Yeshua. That is his real Jewish name. So you're probably going to hear Yeshua a lot because I'm so used to saying that. Now, have you heard the saying that maybe something happened and maybe it didn't happen, but it could still be true? Yeah. Well, I invite you today to let go of whether or not there was a Jesus or that he did or did not die on the cross. And I ask you to join me into looking at a deeper meaning of the story of that event, however you see it. The Buddha once said, to imagine someone is trying to show you the moon by pointing at it. The pointing finger is what guides you to the moon. Without the finger, you might not see the moon. But the pointing finger isn't what matters. The finger points directly to the moon so that you can see the moon for yourself. So if someone points to the moon, don't just look at the finger because you're going to miss the moon. We tend to focus on the finger. Yes. Now, this applies to the story of the crucifixion and the resurrection. Don't get hung up on Jesus himself, but look at what he was pointing to and was trying to teach us. Yeshua said in The Way of Mastery, Easter is for you and not for me. Therefore, set aside your images and your practice of me. Make no pilgrimage to me. Make a pilgrimage to the heart of yourself, with a capital S, by looking upon all that you see this day and seeing its beauty, its harmlessness. So looking back some 2,000 plus years now, Yeshua came to show us the moon. Yeshua said in Your Soul's Gift, The Healing Power of the Life You Planned Before You Were Born, long title by Robert Schwartz, he said in that book, my arrival was meant to bring in the seeds of a new consciousness. You were meant to receive these seeds and let them blossom in your own heart so that others would be touched by them in the same way. The rebirth of Christ is nothing more than the birthing of heart-based consciousness within you. However, the people back in those days did not understand that. What they saw was a Messiah, according to Scripture. And he was the one who was going to smite the Romans and then give them back their power and their safety. He was going to save them. He didn't come for that. He came to teach them who they truly are and how they could reclaim their power and change their lives in that way. But they didn't understand that. And it made it difficult for them to understand his teachings. He taught in parables because that was easier for them to understand. But most of them were still consumed by their ego and the fear that the ego brings, and they made their decisions based on that. They simply could not understand the higher teachings, and even some of his apostles had difficulty in understanding his teachings. So he had a hard sell, didn't he? Yes. And he knew that he would have to make a demonstration in order to make his point. And he also knew that this demonstration had to be earth-shattering, something that would wake everybody up. So what did he do? He decided to be crucified and then to rise from the dead after 3 days. Now, this is one of the most influential stories of humankind and is still celebrated around the world by many, many people. Why? Because there is something of truth in this story. Take away Jesus, take away, the apostles, take away all of that. There's still this truth that's in there that is part of us. In the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament, it reads, "The truth cannot die, so the truth need not be resurrected. The truth simply is, and it always is without beginning and without end." What is it then that must die? What is there to be resurrected? Your belief in illusions must die, so that your awareness of what is may be resurrected through you. So the crucifixion and the resurrection are symbolic of the consequences of our choices. So very simply, we can choose from the consciousness of fear, or we can choose from the consciousness of love. We have this wonderful thing, right, called free will. And we get to do anything we choose. Isn't that great? Well, I don't know. I remember talking with Michelle Avanti, who many of you know, on more than one occasion, about how having this free will gets us into a lot of trouble, doesn't it? It gets us into a lot of trouble, a lot of suffering, and a lot of pain at times. In other words, we go through crucifixions and resurrections throughout each lifetime until we finally realize truth, and then those crucifixions and resurrections are no longer needed. We crucify ourselves when we are living from fear and making choices from fear. Our resurrection occurs when we finally awaken to the realization there must be a better way. It's that time when you finally had enough. And it is here that we begin to look at the teachings of our spiritual leaders and our teachers and our guides. And there are many of them. And they have been with us for many, many, many years. And they've all been trying to tell us and show us and teach us, asking us to look at the moon. And we keep looking at the fingers. And we keep looking at those fingers and the people that are attached to those fingers and making judgments, don't we? Yeah. But it is here that we actually turn our eyes toward the moon and look at what those teachers are pointing to. And I am using the moon as a symbol of our natural and true nature. So the resurrection is an awakening. It is an awakening or a remembering of the reality of who you are and to the oneness of all of life. Now, in the resurrection, it is to know truly and with joy what we might call heaven. However, it is not a change of circumstances. It is a change in your awareness as to what is true and what is false. But we keep trying to change all those things out there. A Course in Miracles states, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all of the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. It is not necessary to seek for what is true, but it is necessary to seek for what is false. Therefore, as you rise above the fearful thoughts that you have been creating your life with, you awaken to your truth. And guess what? Everything looks different. Everything looks different from a higher level of consciousness. And then here is where you let go of those barriers to love. Now, the crucifixions and the resurrections in our lives are part of our journey of learning. The more I began to understand this, the more I realized the importance of free will. Because I used to say, well, take it away from us. We're not doing really good. I really did do that. But our souls have decided to come to earth to learn and have experiences. Our souls make decisions before incarnation as to every aspect of this physical life, and a soul will work with groups of people in this life to help each other through this learning process. So whether you know this or not, we're all part of a soul group here. Okay, and we've all come together for a purpose, whatever it may be, and there's multiple purposes. But your soul has a knowingness about what it needs to work on. It knows what it needs to learn. And it does this through experiences. So you are guided and presented with various options, and you freely choose which options you desire for each of these incarnations. You approve of the incarnation, in other words. So you made the decision to come here in your beautiful bodies at this time in history to be a part of what is going on now by free choice, by your free will. Now, our life plans are designed to heal certain energies that have been left unresolved from prior lifetimes. So we tend to look at the crucifixions in our lives as very bad and the resurrections as very good. But, as Yeshua explains in Robert Schwartz's book, Your Soul's Gift, short version of the title, life challenges bring you to the core of your soul's mission, which is always to help you raise your awareness, to release judgment and create an ever wider space of compassion for yourself and others. Life challenges generally run counter to your hopes and your expectations. Although your soul planned them, they often do not feel like they are supposed to happen. On the contrary, they baffle and bewilder you. To the human part of you who likes to stay in control of life, these challenges almost always feel like they are not meant to be. They seem to be unexpected, unjust, and too difficult to cope with. And they generally evoke resistance, fear, confusion, and a sense of powerlessness. Can we relate to that? Yeah, different times in our lives. And it continues to say, that life challenges are planned by your soul does not mean that you are destined to experience all the fear and pain that they might cause. You have free will. Free will. You can choose to overcome them. Instead of becoming suffocated by negative emotions, you can heal and transform your challenges. Ultimately, they are there to remind you of your greatness, not your smallness. And it continues, and I'm reading this because it just says it so beautifully. Just as you are not your physical body, you are also not your human emotions. You are instead the soul experiencing these emotional states. You are the conscious carrier of your emotions, and you can use your consciousness to approach the most difficult emotions with understanding and compassion rather than fear and resistance. If you look at your challenges in this light, you might even become aware, generally after some time has passed, that you have been extremely valuable, that they have been extremely valuable teachers for you. You may even thank your soul for putting them in your life path. The state of thankfulness in your heart shows that you have really understood the meaning of a particular life challenge. And it says the peace that you now feel in regard to the experience will enable you to help people who face similar challenges. So you are teaching by example. And this is your soul mission as well. What a great teaching. Heavy, huh? Well, I think we've all heard people say, that was the best thing that could have happened to me. Yeah, it might not. You might not say that right in the middle of it. Yeah. You might be saying that was the most horrible divorce. Afterwards, you meet this wonderful guy or gal and you say, wow, I'm so glad that divorce happened. So just keep that in mind as you're going through these things. And there are people who say, that having a disease was the best thing in their life because they realized what the lesson was and what was to be learned there. So our crucifixions are necessary in order for us to learn. When we as humans realize the creative power of our beliefs that we hold on to so tightly, don't we? Wow. Don't get in the way of my belief, right? And the fact that the outer world is but a reflection of our inner world, then we may set about healing those false beliefs. Doing so requires more than just intention and awareness, though. Also necessary are experiences that disprove the false belief. That's why the experiences are so important. So to be truly released, beliefs must be addressed at the level of feeling, and that can be the work of a lifetime. If the outer world mirrors our beliefs to us, and if we therefore have repeat experiences and even entire lifetimes that provide evidence of those beliefs, how can we ever heal our false beliefs? We just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. We must understand that suffering results from the stories we tell ourselves. For example, the experience of having a romantic partner leave you is inherently not good or bad. If, however, you respond by thinking, no one will ever love me, or I will never be happy, you have created a story that in turn causes you to suffer. So here you have the experience of being crucified. So our stories can actually give us a little more crucifixion than we probably want, because we get stuck in them. I'm not discounting our stories. It's getting stuck in them and looking at them as who you are, and this is your life. In other words, your stories will have power over you at that point. However, in the instant before your mind created the story, right before you created the story, you had a moment of choice. And in that moment, you choose how to respond to that external event. And there is an inner space within you that knows the truth. And this is why we say go within for your guidance, because when you go within, that's where you're going to find your truth, and that's when you are going to not allow these external events to have power over you. And at that point, healing can begin. Healing can begin then, because you're coming from your truth. From the book, Your Soul's Gift, it says, your soul uses challenges and crises to create a need to choose. If you never experienced challenge or crisis, if you were always surrounded by loving people and peaceful circumstances, you would have no need to choose. You, the earthly personality, would be happy, but you would not be motivated to go within and remember who you truly are and consciously choose healing. Your soul, which longs to integrate its unhealed aspects, would feel that residue of unaddressed false beliefs, even in your happiness. Your soul seeks to heal from within. Since you are an extension of your soul in physical form, you are within your soul and may therefore bring healing to it. So our personality, which is our human form, is a little tiny, just an iota of who we are. Your soul is beyond our comprehension. It's that vast. But we're here in this human form with all of our focus right here. The most important thing is this human body, this physical experience right now. And it is important. But there is so much more to you. And then it continues. As souls, we learn through contrast. Contrast helps us to understand better who you are. Contrast also serves to generate intense feelings, and it is through feelings that we grow and learn. The intensity of the experience accelerates our evolution. If we feel our emotions and learn to work with them in loving ways. Important words, in loving ways. Instead of fighting everything, trying to change everything, to be with it and learn from it in a loving way. Now, although life challenges produce tremendous growth for both the personality and the soul, suffering is not necessary for us to learn and grow. It is not necessary. And as humans, we have always had free rein in exploring our consciousness and using our creative power. That's that free will. Okay, that I used to think we didn't need, but we really do. Over thousands of years, we have made decisions based on fear and a belief in separation. Yes, we may experience pain in our lives. We all will. And this is part of our growing and our learning. But suffering is optional, and it is a choice that we make. It's always a choice. Now, this process is beginning to reverse as we increasingly base our decisions on love and compassion, and that is what is happening in our world today. Now, it might not seem like it with our media, okay, the big things that are happening right now, but I want you to please understand there's more light on this planet right now than there has ever been, okay? So much more that the darkness that we see is just a fraction right now than what it used to be. And this turning point is coming. And I feel it every day. It's getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And what do? We hold that light. That's our job. Hold that light. Because that's what we want, isn't it? So you think about what you want, not what you don't want. Okay? You think about what you want. You want light. You want peace. And those are the things that you think about. And that's what's going to diminish the fears in our lives. And light always trumps darkness. You can't bring darkness to light, but can certainly bring light to darkness. And that is where we are today. So I want you to really remember that. Not only that, and I think I've said this before too, the light beings and the veil between the other side, I guess you might want to call it, and Earth is really thinning, and there are so many more light beings coming here to help us through this, because we are in this age of ascending to the fifth dimension. That's why we have made the choice to come here. You're part of that. You're part of that decision. And you are extremely brave to do this. I want you to realize how brave you are. And if you read anywhere, they're going to say, wow, the people on the earth that chose to incarnate are the bravest people or bravest beings ever. And you truly are. And it is here when we finally get to that place, this what do they call it, the new humanity, the new earth, where we truly do begin to feel that oneness. So this is the deeper meaning of the crucifixion and the resurrection that we celebrate each year as Easter. And to close, I want to share with you another quote from Yeshua from The Way of Mastery. He says, Easter is your birthday. Easter is a time to celebrate that the crown of thorns has been removed because you have chosen to think only loving thoughts and that you have remembered the power given unto you through which you transcend the awful, dreaded, and suffering-filled experience born of fear. For in love there is only peace. In love there is only the infinitude of pure spirit. In love is Christ restored to your consciousness, and in love you are returned. It's really simple. We just need to choose love each moment. That's how I remember it. Another thing I do, which I think might be helpful to you, every moment in my spiritual practice, I work with the Holy Spirit too. Holy Spirit, help me to learn my lessons in a very, very, very gentle way. It works. Trust me. You'll enjoy that. So, I'd like to ask you now to join me in a few moments of meditation. So find that wonderful, comfortable place in your chair. Allow your body to relax. Your body loves to relax. Drop your shoulders. Drop your jaw. And now I want you to feel a wave of peace. And it's moving from the top of your head slowly down your body to the tips of your toes. Breathe deeply for a few breaths, allowing the breath of life to fill your lungs and your tummy fully, and then freeing it completely in the out-breath. Bring your attention to your heart and begin to breathe through your heart, in and out. And with each breath, feel divine love filling your heart. And with each breath out, visualize that beautiful divine love washing over all those who are with us today. And in this visualization, think of someone or something that brings genuine feelings of love and gratitude, joy, makes you smile. And embrace these thoughts in your heart. And know that you are now in coherence. You are now in your place of wisdom. You are in that place of peace and love. And it is here that you realize that you are already resurrected through your divinity. Here you can rejoice in the light of this awareness with an open and a joyful heart. Your faith is strong, and I invite you to welcome the truth of your eternal, indwelling life into your mind and your heart. Because it is here that you can release the stones of defeat and limitation and rise above the fears and enter into a new dawn, a new day, a new beginning. You can do this every morning. By celebrating your divinity, for you are magnificent. So let's just breathe that into our hearts and go into the silence for just a moment. So let's take a deep breath. Bring your awareness back. And I invite you to remember the deeper meaning of Easter and apply it to your life every day. Thank you. You want this?
We have a moment or two for response if anyone has something they would like to ask or remark to Donna. Nobody? Oh, I knew I could count on you.
At least there's no tomatoes. I'm good at ducking though. Hi, JC.
Thank you for helping me find what the process has been. And I thank you all for putting up with my whining while I figured it out.
We're always here for you, JC.
Yeah,
Hi,
thanks very much, Donna. That was a very deep sermon and meditation for me today. And it really helps me to process the whole Jesus Christ Easter piece that I have resistance or have had resistance to, by transforming it into a death and rebirth kind of situation for me in my life in terms of letting go, and the fear and the light and all of that is a very powerful way to transform one's emotional life as a human, and going into the soul being the deeper part. And there was another part to that, but it allows me to now, I was thinking of my teacher and of the Dalai Lama saying, you never let go, don't let go of your belief system and move into a Buddhist way of being in the world. You keep what you have and add to it what you want to bring in. So, and my teacher was a very religious person of a Christian faith before she became a Buddhist teacher. So they all came to mind, and that was really very, very special. And thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Dana. I'm reminded of the Dalai Lama. This kind of smart-alecky young reporter asked him, "What do you think is the best religion?" And he said, the one that makes you a better person. What an answer, huh? And so, this for me, it's all about opening to what is. We've been taught to make our little boxes and, sit in those little boxes because that's truth. It's not truth, because if you're in that little box, you're missing truth. And there's so much out there that our human minds can't even comprehend it. You can if you're in the middle of a really wonderful meditation, let me tell you. But, in our daily lives, it's difficult to understand who we are, how beautiful we are, how magnificent we are, and live our lives from that. So,
Thank you, Reverend. I want to echo what Dana said. I agree. And you've given us quite a bit to chew on here, but I would point out that the parable of pointing at the moon is a hard thing to work with in this part of Oregon. I was out quite a bit last night, and the moon did show up once.
I know, you have to kind of visualize it up there.
The rest of it's clouds.
Yes, thank you. And I have sent this to Genevieve, this talk, so, and I think she's going to send it out. And if anybody needs one, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to everybody, so. Pardon? She'll put a link in the newsletter. I think that's what she did last time. Okay, yeah. Because sometimes, it's hard to take notes if you're a note taker and get the things that resonate with you, so, okay.
I just wanted to say thank you for the correlation of the symbol of the finger and the suffering,
Yeah,
pointing us to the direction of love.
yes, Ken. Thank you.
As the old Unitarian in me, I have to point to one of our principles, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning.
Yes,
And that's what we
that's what we do. That's our path. We're searching, and that's good.
Two more.
One of the things I always do, either right after the speaker or on my way home, is I connect with how I feel. And I feel so grounded. Thank you.
Great. Good. We need to get her a skateboard.
Just wanted to piggyback on what John said about having difficulty with seeing where the finger's pointing when there's clouds in the way. And I think there's something really profound in that, because all of the spiritual teachers are pointing to something that we can't see.
Yes.
And there's a saying, just because you can't see the sun doesn't mean it's broken, just a cloud's in the way.
Yeah.
And I think that's, a lot of what you're talking about, is that because we can't see something that's beyond this physical reality, doesn't mean it's not real.
Yes.
But we get stuck looking at what we can see. Well, we can't see that, so at least we'll focus on what we can see. But then we miss a lot. In fact, we miss who we truly are.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
Thank you.
And we are the creator of those clouds most of the time. Yeah. So
One more?
you should write a song about that. Okay. Challenge.
Another thought. I think I have the most difficulty when I find that I'm trying to be concrete. Seeing the moon in Oregon is being really concrete. I don't know, I guess when I think about my soul's purpose, the reason for being here, it's not unclear to me. I think what's burdening clear is that I continually take on more than I need to do. And that causes me to nudge others to join with, to ease my burden, which are kind of strong words. But I think that we all have a love purpose. We all have reasons for being here. And it's important to join with when we find like-mindedness in love and honor and purpose.
Oh yeah, when you're choosing love, guess what you're going to attract to you? Love. And the people who are choosing love also. You know, this book that I referred to, Robert Schwartz's Your Soul's Gift, what I really enjoy about that book is it goes through and it explains what would be a soul's purpose in a disease or in an accident. And it's been very enlightening for me. So, you know, if you're in that place where you're not sure about your purpose or you're wondering why this happened to you or whatever, I highly recommend it. And he also has another one. I bought 2 of them. I love books. The other one is Your Soul's Plan. And I haven't even started that one yet. But this one, The Soul's Gift, is just an eye-opener. So I suggest that you look into that. Thank you, everyone. I don't have your stuff, right?
No.
Okay.
Wait,
You took it with you?
I kept it.
I'm good at taking her stuff.
Okay. Well, thank you, Donna. It's always a blessing to have you speaking to us every month. And this was a great one, as usual. So now, please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing number 1008, 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, yeah, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. Then our heart is in a holy place. Then our heart is in a holy place.
We must rise to the conscious realization that every thought of mind, every atom of body, every molecule of being, every function of nature, and every force is divine, and that all of these do and shall vibrate to the harmonies of spirit. This is the resurrection of man. There is no other. Together we have enjoyed the warmth and beauty of stories of this flame and of this special community. As our chalice flame is extinguished this morning, we can still remember that its glow is carried within us. We can use our inner lights and this flame to kindle new sparks together throughout our lives and in the world. May the spirit of peace and togetherness bless your lives. Join me in singing Go Lift It Up. Blessed be. Join us for coffee and conversation.